And
Welcome.
Jim, go ahead. You roll, Chad. You're the big boy. Hat on it.
Sorry. Welcome, everybody. This is November 7th, 2018, and this is role play call number 36. For anyone that's new to this call that hasn't been here before, it's a little different format than our mastermind call, where typically you can come and ask any type of question. A lot of times it's about marketing and different things. We try to focus on this call on improving sales skills. So we're looking for, role playing objections, language that's good. Anywhere you're getting stuck, if you're getting shut down on the phones, we're here to help. But also if you have something that's working. So if you've been on the phones, you've got listings, you've bought houses, please step up. It's for the benefit of all, to know what's working and for you and your market. And to get in the queue, you simply press *6, wait a moment, and then press 1. And Tim's running the board, so Tim, I'll let you tell me if we have anyone in.
At this particular moment in time, it's just you and I chatting. We got a lot of people on the call, and I think you need to tell them that you won't bite.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the folks that, I'll fill some time here. So if you haven't been to one of these calls before, and even if this is your first, regardless, we archive these in a few different spots. So if you're a subscriber, you can go to under Education and Training, Conference Calls, Access Call Archive, and we've been doing these. Today makes 3 years that we've done these once per month. So you've got probably over 30 hours of archived content to help you on the phones. And you'll find a common thread in a lot of those calls are, people not getting the conversation started is probably the most common scenario, like just giving up too soon, not asking enough questions. But anything goes, guys. Like if you're trying to figure out how to get the conversation started, if you're trying to figure out how to overcome a certain objection, something that, we don't have many investors participate in these role play calls, but I know there are investors on here. I mean, they're we have more and more every day. So even if you're buying houses, the conversation is always, listing heavy because most of our subscribers are realtors. But if you're an investor and you're trying to figure this out, step up. We're here to help. And it's hard to role play by yourself. So unless you guys have unless we have some participants, it's going to be Tim and I.
Well, I mean, we can role play, but I really get so tired of talking to you, it's really hardly worth it. And I think the point here is that I'm looking at the list of names, and we've got a great turnout of folks here. So I think the bottom line is surely there are folks out there who are having challenges or who have, and this is the other thing to remember, you may have uncovered something really cool that you said the last call that you were on that really changed the person that you were talking to from a suspect into a prospect, and we also want to hear those kinds of things as well. This isn't just for us to preach to you. It works both ways. There we go. We got our first designated victim, somebody with some courage. That would be call ending in 5450, Europe.
Yes. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know basically who you are, but you just showed up in my email, so I decided to click on it and see what the seminar is all about. Well, I am a brand new investor, so maybe this is why you showed up on my email. I don't know.
Okay.
Just started in real estate investment.
So our company provides a kind of proven, repeatable system for probate. Are you familiar with probate at all?
Yes, I'm a little bit familiar with probate. Would like to hear some more about it, though.
Okay. So, we'll certainly role play if you want to, but I think that you probably should familiarize yourself with what we do. We do a call every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have our mastermind call, and that's more of a general discussion. But you can, if you go to alltheleads.com and look through, on the public side, if you look through our blog,
Mhm.
If you go to YouTube and look up All the Leads or Probate Leads, we've got
Okay.
tons of content there that kind of explains. I mean, in a nutshell, we provide a full system. So we go to the courthouse and gather leads for you, but we do things like this today where we support you in every way we've found out how to do. So we provide mailing services for you. We have ISAs that can make phone calls. We provide software that helps you handle the leads and save money and time. So if you have something specific you want to role play, you're welcome. But I think it might be best for you to kind of look at some of the content we have and understand what we're doing. Really the key to what we teach, but whether it's investor or realtor, is kind of differentiating yourself. So creating a vertically integrated solution. So the metaphor I often use is a wheel. So think of yourself as the hub, and the spokes would be, in your case, a real estate agent, maybe other investors that buy things that you don't, clean out crews, contractors, nursing home employees, family law attorneys, anyone who can support the family going through that probate scenario.
Okay. I think I got it. But I figure I might as well come in since you had no one to role play, and I'm listening to you asking for someone to step in. So I figure, let me step in and ask the question.
Well, thanks for stepping up.
Okay.
You should do well in the business. You're not afraid to take action, right?
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot. I will definitely go into the website and check it out.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay,
Well, guys, until I get a role play partner, I want to, something.
You have one, bud.
All right. Well, I'll say this anyways because I got it out there on the table. So, before we get to our next caller, one of the conversations I commonly have, especially with people who are frustrated because they just got on the phones and they were thinking this was going to be like FSBO or expired. This is really easy once you figure it out. And we try to do everything we can to help you figure it out as quickly as you can. But the real key and like the common thread to success in both investors and realtors and even appraisers and other professionals we have that use our system is really empathy. So, if you understand the position they're in, and that's a large part of what we teach in Probate Mastery. Like if you can understand the position that your prospects are in, and then ask good questions, they'll basically just draw you a map of what you need to say. So where most people get hung up and they don't believe in their offer and they get marbles in their mouth and they get shut down with objections and just say this doesn't work, it's usually because they haven't taken time to, they don't take the time to really be empathetic toward the situation these people are in. It's not a whole lot more work than any other lead type. It's just it takes a different tactic. Like you have to have a more empathetic approach. So anyways, that's not specific language, but when you're getting ready to get on the phones, make sure you understand. I mean, the typical personal representative is probably in their 50s to 60s. It's probably the first time they've ever done it. They have everyday life coming at them at full speed, and then they have the life of somebody else that's been handed to them, and they have to figure out a way to ethically and efficiently unravel that. So just remember that when you're picking up the phone, and if people lash out at you, it's not anything personal. They just don't like what the last guy said, and they're giving you that reputation. All right, I'm done with my pep talk, Tim.
That was good. I like that. I was inspired. The other thing I'd like to point out is that the first caller that was on there said we popped up into her she got an email from us, and I think what's important for everyone to know is that we're big proponents of Can Spam Act and all that sort of stuff, so we don't ever idly send out spam emails. At some point she figured something out or filled something out, replied to something that we sent somewhere, and that's why we sent you an email, and we let you know. We let anybody who needs to know and who's expressed an interest in what we're doing, we let you know that these calls are available because they are public, and it's what we do to do the best job we can of putting our best foot forward and showing you the value that we offer and why this isn't just a lead system. There's a lot more to what we offer than that. And as Chad said, I'll reiterate the same things. We have an entire department devoted to gathering leads. We have another department devoted to nothing but printing and making sure that not only your letters go out, but also any other types of printed material that you need, whether that be business cards or flyers or folders or trifolds or brochures or any of that. We also have an ISA division that makes all the calls for you for anything that you need to have calls made for, not just this. If there are other things you're interested in and you'd like us to work with you on that, we'll do it. We're here to support you. We're a complete marketing support agency for the real estate industry. That's what we do, and we're here to help you. And my speech is done, and I'm going to take the next caller, which ends in 7671. You're up.
Hello, this is Barbara from Florida.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
I have a good one for you. 4 objections.
Wait a minute.
From one phone call?
I love it. Let me make a note. Maybe this is the one that'll stump Chad.
I don't think so. But the lady's name is Rachel. She this was on a callback, and I thought, oh, gee, she wants me to call her back. Well, she said, the attorney told me it takes 90 days. I had a friend, real estate, come in. What is your commission? And you're only doing it for 3%, which I said, well, gee, that's half the job. I'm thinking of selling on my own, I'm retired, I could do it. And I'm having an estate sale in 2 weeks. So she was very, very, very negative.
Okay.
So
over what course of time? Like, was that a 5-minute conversation?
No, it was a little longer than that. I did do some things right. I said, gee, any broker could sell your home for 3% if they just bring the buyer. That's half the job, she was saying that she was going to sell on her own. And, but I think I am going to call her back. I just, would like to learn. Maybe I could have handled things a little bit differently. She did receive my brochure.
Would you rather pack them all into one role play, or would you rather break it apart and role play each one?
Well, whatever you could ask me.
Well, you had the conversation, so you can lead me. Let's jump into it. We'll role play. You lead me out the where she led you, and hopefully you can get something from it.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hi.
Hi, is this Barbara?
Yes.
Hey, Barbara, this is Chad. Thanks for calling me back. I just got your voicemail. Is this a good time to talk?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so I guess you got my letter. Obviously, you gave me a call. Have you had a chance to look at our website or read the letter? Do you have any questions? What specifically can I help you with?
No, my attorney recommended a realtor. How much commission do you charge?
Well, I don't even know if that's the best. I don't know if that's how I can best help you yet. So we try to start with, we offer a lot of different services. So we try to focus on understanding your situation and your goals, and then we can kind of tell you how we can help, and if there's any charge, we can discuss that. Is that fair?
I just wanted to know how much your commission is. I'm thinking of selling on my own. I'm retired. I could probably do this. I'm not paying 6% for a commission.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's 2019. Anyone can put a house on 100 different websites in 5 minutes. I think where I see a lot of sellers get kind of wrapped around the axle, for the lack of a better term, is after they've got the home listed and they have buyers who aren't qualified, wasting their time. They have to run home from work and show the house. They don't have a realtor. They don't have a lender. There's no chance they're going to buy a home. And eventually you get worn, most sellers get worn thin and end up listings 3, 6, 8 months later. So there's a lot more than just the marketing aspect of it. I know it's easy to think that realtors put signs in yards and pay for their Cadillacs, right? But there's a lot of things that they do behind the scenes that make your life a whole lot easier. Otherwise, the industry wouldn't have survived as long as it has. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I'm having an estate sale, not this weekend, but next weekend. So,
Okay.
I've already got, your brochure said that you help with estate sales, but I got that covered.
Are you guys doing a tag sale or an auction sale?
Estate sale.
But
Tag
are you
sale.
doing an auction format or
No
just
auction.
tagged?
No, just tag.
Okay. And has the auction company talked to you about helping with, or the estate sale company? Have they offered to help you with, with the real estate or anything?
No. My attorney recommended a realtor, and he said he would do it for 3%.
Okay. Was that his side or the whole commission? Was that the entire commission or just his side of the commission? Well, he said he could
sell the house for 3%.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. So you've got the estate sale handled. Did you guys have the personal property appraised? Do you know about what you're getting from that?
No. My sister's going to have the estate sale. It's not a professional company.
Oh, okay. So you guys are doing it on your own?
Yep.
Okay. And do you have a plan for the things that don't sell? Because the reason I ask, we have contacts with a lot of churches and nonprofits, so we make sure that, we can get the best use out of everything, and then what's not left, we have clean out crews. We can help empty the home out. Is that something you might be interested in? And I won't charge you a 6% commission for doing that either.
Well, maybe. And the other problem is, my attorney told me that it took me, it's going to take me over 90 days, so I don't even have the authorization yet. So
you guys haven't had the initial hearing, and you haven't gotten the letters of testamentary yet?
No. We submitted the papers, I think it was September 9th. September 7th.
Okay. Well, that's unusual in Florida. I mean, they typically, you don't end up waiting that long, but I guess maybe there's a holdup in the courts. Well, here's what I would like to do, and I won't charge you 6% for this either. I'd like to come by the estate sale and take a look at the property and meet with you guys. I mean, everybody's going to be there on that day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll drop by. Do you have any shovels? Because I need a new shovel.
Maybe. I don't know. My sister's in charge of that. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll drop by and take a look. While I'm there, we can talk. You get to meet me. And if there's any way I can help, I will. And if there's not, then I'll go on my merry way, and hopefully I get a good deal on something, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm not signing anything.
Oh, I haven't asked you to sign anything. I just asked you to say hello and shake my hand at the estate sale. Is that too much to ask?
No, I guess not. I guess if you buy something, that's good.
Okay, then I'll come as a buyer, not as a realtor. we got a deal?
Okay, I guess.
All right, so we'll wrap up. You're being tough and really apprehensive, so I would take this off the phone, and I tell everybody, like, find any way possible to get face to face with these people, and they'll understand your intent, and they'll actually see that you're authentic in your offer and you want to help. And I've had a lot of sellers even tougher on me than you were on the I'm not gonna. One of the funny stories I tell in Mastery, I had a lady, she's like, "Oh, I don't need to pay you 6% to do what I can do my damn self." And I kept her on the phone. I kept her engaged. And the little things like, do you have any shovels? That's just a way to cross your wires and kind of break your thought pattern and get you to stay engaged in a real conversation with me. I did the same thing with her. We listed the house on the day that like a 19-inch blizzard hit Roanoke, which is a big deal in Virginia. And actually sold the house that day. And then she lit me up because I sold the house too quickly after and it had taken her 6 months. And she had probably 24 people who pretended to be buyers that, did home tours, and she never heard from them again. And She had missed like every lunch break for 6 months, but she was convinced she could do it on her own, and I did it in a matter of hours in a blizzard. So, but getting face to face with her was the only way. And when that appointment started, her arms were crossed, her brows were down. She was up on the balls of her feet. I mean, she was in a defensive position. By the end of it, I had her laughing. I had her in tears laughing. And me and her husband, he was a great guy. He was warm from the beginning, but boy, she wasn't. So where I was taking you there, I just need a reason to get in front of you. And the fact that you haven't, you threw me for a loop in the end. You said you didn't have your letters of testamentary, so I can't list your house anyways.
Right.
But I'm going to show up, and I'm going to connect you with churches and nonprofits, and you're going to see that my intent is good, and that I want to make sure that you guys are taken care of. And it's very unlikely you're going to see that from the other realtor that you're going to give an even harder time than you gave me. And you're sure as hell not going to see it from the 3% guy. So I'm confident that if I just build the relationship with you, then I can help you out, and eventually I'll monetize that. So I would take a few minutes and go to the estate sale, and you can get some pretty incredible deals at estate sales. So that's how I would have handled it.
Okay. At this particular point in time, though, should I just show up, or should I call her, or what do you think I should do?
Do you know for a fact she's going to be there, or is it the sister?
Yeah, see, I don't know.
Then I would call if she's not there, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good to show up. One of the things that I would do if I were you, if you don't already have a contact, and you can, so Habitat for Humanity, Restore, Salvation Army, Goodwill, and then even most bigger churches will have like a box truck. But I would line up, get a list of those nonprofits and charities and churches that can come in after the sale, because they're not going to sell everything, and they're going to be left with the challenge of, well, do we throw away mom's clothes, or whoever it was. It's hard for folks, and it's a really big, it's a huge perceived value, and it doesn't cost anyone anything to get those nonprofits out there to make sure somebody gets to use the personal property rather than just throw it away. And that could be the reason for your call. And just say, hey, listen, I wanted to come by on Saturday. I'm going to be in that neighborhood for another appointment, and I remembered you said it was that day. You mind if I stop in and introduce myself? And when you're there, take that list of donation. Find out who to call to set up the time to meet with them, and go ahead and do that work and hand it to her and say, I just thought if whatever doesn't sell, these are the folks that we rely on to make sure it doesn't go to the dump. And that will be a good way to warm that conversation up, and she'll see that you're not just trying to put a sign in the yard and make your mortgage payment off her back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good tips.
Jen, do we have anybody else in the queue?
At this particular moment in time, we do not. If you'd like to get in the queue, *6 and 1, and Chad will take your calls. I was really hopeful for a stumper that time, but you shoveled your way out of that.
We cover every one of those. We cover in Probate Mastery in detail. Like, we'll role play them individually. The major objections, those are, I think she hit me with 4. There's really like 8 major objections that you will ever hear. So I've got a little practice on those.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, and this is one that's certainly coming up more and more, and that's the discount brokerage aspects of this. And we frequently hear the same things where I'll do it for 5, I'll do it for 4, I'll do it for 3, and I think any additional information or tips that you can offer in regard to how to taking the high road, how you can combat that by asking the questions that you're asking, think that's often quite helpful. I'm going to say again, star 6 and 1 get in the queue, but until we get that, I mean, let's talk a little about the discount brokerage impact.
Yep, that's good. I'm glad you resurfaced it. So my philosophy on this, there's a quote, and I don't remember who to give credit to, but price is never an objection in the presence of value is one of the quotes that's really helped, I guess, make me realize the value of my service. And so far, I've never taken a discounted listing. I just don't do it because I have a business to run and I'm providing a service. So I usually don't engage in the conversation. If you notice what I did with Barbara, I sidestepped it. She went right for the jugular. Well, what do you charge for commission? And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm even going to be getting a commission, so why don't we talk about the bigger picture? And I find that 9 times out of 10, if I just kind of sidestep the question and then cover them up in value, it never resurfaces. So my philosophy is provide value first, like provide it early and often, and you usually will never have to defend the fee for service. Even if you're an investor, and you're if you're solving their problem, they don't care how much money you're making. And as you've probably heard me say on these calls, I show people what I'm going to sell the house for when I buy it. They don't care. If I do what I say, I solve their problem and they're happy. And so I typically don't engage with it on the phone. If it happens in the listing appointment, then I'll kind of go into what I went with her and explain, that we do a lot more than just marketing, and what all goes into our system. And like on my sell side, I have a checklist. There's 120 variables that we manage on the listing side of a transaction, and I just built it all into Top Producer. But you can point to things like that. Well, most people think of putting a sign in the yard, putting it on a website, but there's 118 other things that we do for each and every listing that we list. So do you know what those things are?
Okay.
And you can use examples like in my area, the local water authority, in order to close a transaction, you have to have a free inspection from the water authority. It's called inflow and infiltration. And most sellers don't know that. And they end up at the closing table when they find it out, and then they have to wait 5 or 6 days to schedule it, to get on the schedule. It delays their closing. The buyer's pissed. Both agents are, the buyer's agent, if there is one, is pissed. So there's little things like that you can use as examples. Like, for example, Mr. Seller, most people don't know about an I&I inspection, and that usually ends up being a big problem very late in the game. Are you familiar with what that is? And you kind of highlight their ignorance to help them realize, okay, I probably am getting in over my head. And you can always use NAR statistics. I don't know what it was for 2017, but I think the last figure I saw was on average, a FSBO seller will take 13.9% less on the gross sale price of their home if they sell on their own versus having representation.
Wow, that's a big number. We've got 3 folks in the queue, and I think we'll jump in and take those, and we can maybe finish up with this if we don't burn up the rest of our time on the folks. Let's take the next caller, which is ending in 6248. Joyce?
Hi there. This is Joyce from Southern California, and I am sure you don't remember, but you helped me last week with a listing appointment. And I went on the listing appointment. It was a sister whose brother had passed away. I gave her all of the options and had a very good conversation with her. And she was on her way back to Seattle, and she told me that I should call her last Friday, which I did do, to get her decision about what she was going to do. She didn't answer and didn't return my call. And I looked on the MLS, and nothing has been done with that property, at least not on the MLS. So what's the next step?
How many times have you tried calling?
I called her once on Friday and once on Tuesday, yesterday.
Okay. And she was out of town for a week and then went back to her job, right?
Uh-huh.
So let's give her the benefit of the doubt and figure that she's probably covered up, right?
Uh-huh.
She may just not have. She may not have climbed out of the backlog to get to you, but she may also be talking to one of your competitors. You never know. I mean, I would just continue calling, and are you leaving a voicemail for her when you touch base?
I am. Uh-huh. Should I?
Yeah, I would. So tell me, I guess before I give you advice on what direction, tell me how the appointment went, what all you discussed, like what are her biggest problems and challenges?
The appointment went very well. I walked into the house and it was full of stuff, and I explained that we had a partnership with a estate sales company who would come in and put on a sale. Anything that was left that she didn't want, they would donate it to a good charity. Anything that was left after that they would take it to the dump and be rid of it, and we would leave the house brush clean. And we talked about the possibility of doing some painting just to spruce it up a little bit. I gave her a cash price, which she was not interested in. I gave her an as-is price and a retail price, and she liked everything I said. The values that I gave her lined up perfectly with what she had thought. She's not a realtor, but she has done a lot of real estate investing. And so I'm at a loss as to really why I haven't heard back from her, other than
how did the appointment wrap up? Like, where did you fail to close? It sounds like you're the perfect fit for her.
I felt like that. The appointment ended with her walking me from the house back to my car, telling me that she had a new telephone number she wanted me to use, and that she would look forward to working with me as soon as she got back to Seattle and got her personal house all arranged and moved into. She had just bought a new house in Seattle.
That's why she's not returning your call. Okay, so did you have a listing agreement with you?
I did.
Did you get it out?
And I did, and I gave it to her, and she said that she would. I gave her a folder with a lot of information. The statement with the three prices and information on me and all of those kinds of things, and she looked at the listing agreement and said that she would read over all the information that I gave her in the folder, and that she would make a decision last week, and that she would call me, or if I didn't hear from her, to please call her by Friday.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a few things here. I first want to talk about what you could have done and what I hope you'll do next time, and then let's talk about how to reconnect with her. Joyce, you've been through Mastery, and I registered you last month as an alumni, so you have the recordings. First thing I want you to do is go back and listen to Session 3 of Probate Mastery. Did you get the October session that I sent you?
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the things, so what I want you to pay attention to this time through, I know I cover a ton in that, I want you to focus on the little tricks that I do to lead people. And not to manipulate them, but to get them to do what they're slowly finding that they need to do. So the things like you said, you let her walk you to the car. That means she was in control of the situation and probably the conversation. So you need to have a little more control over your process and lead a little stronger, and then they'll start signing, or they'll start asking for the listing agreement. And I also tell you how I do, like in the last 30 minutes or so of that session, I'll walk you through literally play by play a typical appointment for me with a seller. And one of the things that I always do is put the listing agreement out in front of the strongest decision maker, whether that's the PR or not. And I play a game. And so far I've never had to ask to list a piece of real estate. They will say, okay, well, where do we sign? Or they'll pull the paper out of the folder and start shuffling through it. And that's my sign that I know I've done my job. And then it's time and we just fill in the price and the date and we're done. Like the listing paperwork literally takes 5 seconds. And then I have a clause that I write in that they allow me to write the public and private remarks once I'm back at my desk. That way I don't have to sit there and do creative writing in front of my client, right? So I want you to focus on assumptive closing. So when she was saying, "Oh, this is our problem, this is what we need," the point I'm trying to get to here, a really good way to work them right back to signing the listing agreement is with a timeline. So you establish a target date. So you in a perfect world, when would you want to be closing this so you could settle the liabilities? Okay, January. Let's say January 15th. That's realistic. So in order to get that done, we need to have the house under contract and escrow by, let's say, December 1st. And in order to get that done, we should probably have the estate sale all wrapped up before Thanksgiving, so we can have photography either the week of or the week after Thanksgiving. So in order to get that done, I probably should get Bill from the estate sale company over here tomorrow to go ahead and give you a personal property appraisal. So when you get back to Seattle, you'll know what the property's worth. You can choose whether it's a tag or an auction sale, and we can move forward and get our other partners to come in and we'll donate anything that doesn't sell. So that kind of brings us back to today, and we've talked about a lot of things, one of those being a cash offer, and it doesn't seem to me that that's in your best interest, and based on the look on your face, I think you'd agree with me. So a conventional sale where we come in, we do the estate sale, we bring our painters in and do this, then we'll bring in photographers, then the stagers, and then we get it on MLS. Does that sound like a good plan? Okay, great. Well, it all starts right here. I've filled all this out. The only thing we have to fill in is the price and the date the listing goes on. So based on everything we talked about, we're both comfortable with $320. Does that feel that's good for you? Okay, great. So $320. And I would say let's go ahead and plan on having it on MLS on December 1st. Does that work? Okay, great. And then you just sign right here. And I would lead her into that just like I did. And if she threw up an objection, then I would know I hadn't provided enough value in a certain area. So then I could go back and work on that and then get back on track. But using the timeline helps them kind of visualize if I'm going to get this done, I have to, there has to be a strategy. And you just come backwards through your strategy, showing her why and when each of those things need to take place. And naturally, it leads you right back to a pen on a paper in the kitchen. And that's what, you didn't do anything wrong. You just could have done that a little better by taking a little more control and saying, step up. That people are looking for the people that respond to our offer in this. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for help, especially when they're out of town. So had you been a little more assertive and taken a little more control, I feel like you would have a signed listing and wouldn't be trying to chase her while she's moving into her new house.
Is it too late to call her back and talk to her about the timeline?
No, I'll get off my soapbox and tell you now what I would do. So you know that the estate sale is something that's definitely in her future, right?
Right.
And do you have a good relationship with your estate sale partner?
Yes.
You know them? Okay. So I would, if I didn't get her on the phone, the next voicemail I left for her would be, hey Jan, I was thinking last night after dinner about our conversation. I know you just bought a new house and I'm sure you're busy doing that. I also talked to my estate sale partner, and he was curious about the property, and he wanted to offer to give you a free personal property appraisal. So if you could, give me a call back and let me know who has the keys, and we'll go over and just spend 30 minutes. He can get a number to you, and we'll make sure the place is locked back up. So give me a call when you have 5 minutes, 555-1234. And something like that, get a reason to take value to her. So the next step that she's going to have to do, she needs to know what the property is worth, and they need to determine what's being sold and what's not. So if you can be proactive in getting your and talk to your person and be like, hey, could you go to a house tomorrow if I can get this, if I can get the keys. So make sure they're available so you can live up to it if she says yes. But then call her back and say, listen, I'm already working for you. And just assume in your mind at all times, like she's your client, she's already signed the listing agreement. Treat her that way. Even if she hasn't, treat her that way and lead her that way. So you're her listing agent, aren't you?
Right.
If the listing was signed, what's the next thing you would do?
I would get my estate salesperson out there, and I would get that cleared up. I would get the painter to come and do all of that, and I would make sure the house was sale ready. Then I would start the marketing process.
Then go do that. And
Great
she'll respond to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, Joyce, thanks. Those are great questions and very thought-provoking, and I think the beauty of that is the more you can take control and be positive and assertive at the right times, the quicker you're going to get to the prize, get to the promised land.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
all right, great. We appreciate it. We've got two more in the queue. We'll take the next one ending in 2686. You're up.
Hi, this is Kevin and my wife Alice. We're a real estate team here in Texas. Just have a question. Let me tell you what we did, and it's not so much a phone conversation. It was in person. We met with a seller whose husband recently died in September, so she's still in shock. And the long story short, she basically wants to let the house go. She does not want to deal with anything. We explained over and over and over, different conversations over and over, that there's other things we could do to help her, but the very last thing we can do is take it subject to. All right. So, and that's what we're doing. But my question is, for those that literally want to just bury their head in the sand, they don't want to sign anything, they don't want to even lift a finger, they're just so distraught. How can what's good ways to bring them along? And we figured that out while we were talking to her. So I guess it's not so much an objection handler on the phone, but in person, she's objecting like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I just want to run away. And I mean, there's a lot of, there was about $100,000 equity before everybody got, attorneys and everything got their hands in it.
Is it a reverse mortgage or a conventional mortgage?
No, just a conventional. It was not in her name. It was in her husband's. But still.
Okay. So her name is not on the note. Is her name on title?
Yes. She's on the deed. Yep.
So she is. Okay.
So we approached it obviously from a realtor point of view first. We can get you more money in this market. And then she didn't want to really do that, so we put our investor hat on and said, okay, fine, here's your last lifeline. We can, assign the deed over, and we'll take it over, and we'll run with it. We'll deal with the probate attorney, blah, blah, blah. And she's okay with that. But she's wanting some money out of it, which is fine, because I told him, we can give her something out of it. But it's more how to handle the objection of somebody burying their head in the sand.
So what you're explaining is the one scenario where I'll actually back off. I usually tell people grab them by the hand and pull them out of the probate quicksand. But I guess is the mortgage in default already?
Starting this month, November, they will miss their first payment.
Okay. And does she have suitable housing lined up if she leaves this place?
Yes, she's already moved out. I mean, she's proactive there, So, like I said, she's just waiting on me to take it over and run with it, which is fine. I'll do that.
There's one thing that might make your life a lot easier. In the state of Texas, you can file for monument of title, and you can actually carve the real estate out of the probate. So if you're going to take it sub 2, I would try to do that first. Is there a probate attorney attached to the case?
No, not yet. I have one.
Yeah, so you might, if you have a probate attorney, and you can tell her that you'll pay for it, but you should do that with an attorney. But if you get the monument of title, then you can basically take the real estate out of the probate. So you should be able to go ahead and close it subject to. If you have you ever done a sub 2? Do you have a title company that understands it and will do it for you?
Yes, I have. I have a title company and a real estate attorney there. I have not done a sub 2. I've just, learned about it, but I have physically not done one yet.
Yeah.
But I know,
what's
I know people.
what's your end game with the house? Do you plan on renting it or flipping it or?
No, it's in great condition. We'll just clean it up, put it out on the market, and sell it. And hopefully, there'll be some leftover that we get our cut, basically, and leftover that we can give her the rest. That's our plan.
And how much do you think that will be, her cut?
Honestly, if it goes as clean as I hope it does, I'm hoping, I don't know, 30, 40.
Okay, so you would be giving her 20. Like, would you split it equally with her?
I plan to treat this personally just like a flip, and on our flips we normally get at least 30,000 out of them. And
right. Well, I guess what I'm asking is, so are you willing to give her 15,000 in cash?
Oh yeah. Yeah, close. Yeah, close. Sure.
Yeah.
We're not being, we're not going to be the greedy and take it all. I promised them if there's any, I do want to give it to them.
No, that's awesome, man. That speaks volumes about your character. So you're doing the right thing. I mean, if she is willing to sign a purchase agreement, and she's willing to let you hire a probate attorney to work on her behalf, I would go do that. And that way, the probate attorney can help you navigate the transaction, since she's not going to be much help. He may even get a power of attorney to act on her behalf, or get himself appointed as, this is a case where a public administrator would be very helpful, because she's just emotionally distraught and she's about to make a big mistake. And thankfully she met you, I'll say, because most other people would not make an offer to split the profit with her. So kudos to you for that. But I think I would reconnect with her and say, listen, set up an appointment with the probate attorney and try to deal with as much in that one appointment as possible. And if she's open to it, I would get a POA signed so you can just get her out of the situation, mainly for her emotional well-being, so you don't have to bother her. The next time she should hear from you is when you show up with a smile on your face and a $15,000 check, and run with it. I mean, that's what I would do, is find an attorney you trust, get her to come meet with you. You can even sign the purchase agreement there that day, so you can try to get as much signed as possible so you can get this off her plate, because she's obviously having a really hard time dealing with it.
So the bottom line to handle that objection would be to get basically a POA and take that off her plate.
Yep. So I would say, Mrs. Smith, I can see and hear how hurt you are. And I think you're making a mistake, respectfully, and I'm going to try to make that a lot less painful for you. So if you're willing to allow us to help you, I'll split 50-50. Anything that I make on this home, I will split with you, rather than you walking away from equity that's going to be important to you a few years down the road. So can you meet with me on Friday at 3 at this attorney's office? And that's where I would go with it. Try to get her there and make sure she clearly understands what's happening and has had a chance to ask any questions to counsel. And if she's that emotionally disturbed, then get her out of the way with the POA, so you and the attorney can at least get her something, because right now she's about to make a big mistake and walk away from it all, right?
Yeah, she's already said that. it's incredible. I mean,
it's more common than like if you do this long enough, you'll find more than you'll find this won't be the only one. And you've probably heard me say it before, like the person who will dump a house for pennies on the dollar, they're in an emotional state. They don't give a damn how good you are at listing houses or how much you can sell it for. They just want rid of it today because it hurts so bad. And I think that they probably, they may regret that in the future. But like I said, she's lucky to have met you because most people wouldn't offer to do what you are.
And that's your strongest point right there. You're, like Chad said early on in this, you established your character, the kind of person that you are, and I can tell by just listening to you on this conversation, that sincerity is going to come through to anybody that you're dealing with, and you just need to continue to move along the path of being a trusted advisor, not just somebody who's trying to, deal with their property, somebody that they can trust and build on that trust.
But I'll say this, like in closing, get your purchase agreement signed like yesterday, because people in her mindset, she's going to dump it to somebody, or like the next person that calls could have as good a conversation as you did, but they're not, they're going to strike. So get it papered as quick as, even if you go sign a purchase agreement today and figure the rest out going forward, you need to paper that deal before she talks to anyone else.
Okay. And you called it a monument of title?
Monument. So I think it's MUNMUENT, and it's only in Texas. That's one of the grand express lane loopholes of your state. So you can basically expedite the real estate sale, but it usually ends up speeding up the whole probate process by getting it away, basically separating it from the estate.
Okay. All right, cool.
And your attorney should know. I mean, he should be well aware of that.
All right. Well, thanks a bunch for that. Great question, great answers, and we've got one more and just enough time to get through that one, and we'll take our last caller of the day, ending in 4422. Thanks for waiting patiently.
Hey guys, it's Adam. How are you all?
Good, Adam. Good.
Hey Chad. Just wanted to touch quickly on. It's not about a particular call, but it's just on approaching the lead group of pre-probates, and how you've addressed that audience. I know it's a bit tricky with people scanning through our obituaries and all of that, but it does seem like we miss out on a fair number of potential people that we can help who may have a trust in place and don't necessarily go to probate, but also that's a very sensitive time frame to be talking to people. So I just wanted to get your take on that and how you would, if you would, approach them at that stage.
Yep. So personally, this is an inbound only thing for me. You will never catch me doing an outbound effort in the mailbox or on the phone or otherwise to those folks. Probate is kind of the signal flare to the world of, okay, we're ready to deal with this. And we find that usually happens about 60 days after the death. And it's not a rule or anything. It's just that's how most people's behavior is, there's patterns. So the pattern we see is most people wait 2 months, then they go file probate. And then, so they've gone to the funeral, gone through the house, gone through their at least some of the grieving, and eventually said, oh my gosh, we got to deal with this. So they're ready to have the conversation. With pre-probate, I've bought houses literally a couple of days after someone passed away because the family came to me and said, listen, we know you flip houses. Can you just get rid of this? Like, we don't even want to go inside. And I literally bought it a couple of days after she had passed away, and that was the bet. Like, they were the happiest clients I've ever had. They're just like, oh my gosh, now it's your problem. The best way to get the inbound is, obviously that guy, the way I got that one is I put a banner up on every house that I buy that has my company logo and information, and he knew he would come over and check out our progress. But he knew that one, it was very circumstantial. To really get in front of the most is a big part of building your referral network. So getting to know the family law attorneys, the financial advisors, the people in town that are trusted advisors to families, that when stuff like this happens, they're one of the first phone calls. Oh my gosh, what do we do about Jack's life insurance? Oh my gosh, what do we do about the stock portfolio? How does this work? How does that work? So if that advisor understands, or attorney understands your business model and what you can do to help the family, then they can say, well, listen, are you guys going to be selling the home? Like, as we're talking about assets, there's a guy here in town that has a team of people that can help with everything. Obviously, I'll handle the financial aspects or the legal aspects, but Adam can take care of everything else. So what are y'all's plans? And that's the best way to approach it, is to earn that introduction through your professional network. So family law attorneys, registered investment advisors or financial advisors, nursing home employees, those are all good places where, when the situations change really quickly, people call their trusted advisors. You need to leverage relationships with the trusted advisors of other people, so you can show them how you can help the families and complement their business at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just touching on the nursing home employees, is that, I assume, if there is a spouse who needs to relocate because they can't live on their own, or?
Yeah. So it's a pretty common scenario. You've got spouse A takes care of spouse B. They've got 2 Social Security incomes, and they have lived in the same house for 60 years. And they used to be young enough to take care of the yard and clean it and maintain it and do all that. But now, spouse A spends 95% of his or her time taking care of spouse B. The house has been going downhill. And then when that spouse passes away, then the family has a real problem. Because most people, unfortunately, don't have a long-term care plan. We know from the nursing home industry that almost 88% of senior citizens plan on dying in their own home. But it's one of the fastest growing industries in the country. It just doesn't work that way. But the fact that they didn't have a plan usually puts them in it just amplifies the stress. So that nursing home, the person that at the nursing home is, their first job is to find out, can you afford living here? And if they can't, their next job is to figure out how can they get some liquidity so they can afford to live there. And usually the house is where 80% of American wealth is in their primary residence. So if that person understands that you can get homes sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, and also if you're familiar with Medicaid, if you've never done a Medicaid listing, you should familiarize yourself with that, because that's going to come into play. But go introduce yourself, show the nursing home that you have a proven system that can help families in many different ways, most importantly liquidating real property so they can free up assets to afford to live in there. And then let them, show them that you have experience working with each of your team members. So we've done estate sales, we've had contractors in, we've actually worked with Medicaid and social services, and we know how to handle listings for this demographic of person. And they won't forget you, because I'll bet no one else has been in their office explaining stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I used to be a social worker in long-term care, so I'll be able to use that leverage too.
Yeah, so most people don't have a plan, do they?
No, they do not. I mean, I don't even have long-term care employees, but I know it's important.
I set mine up last year. I'm 36. I'm the only person I know that has long-term care insurance. But I have a lot of dangerous hobbies, so I don't want anyone else to have to take care of me.
That makes sense. All right, well, that was very helpful. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for the great question today. We're going to have to cut it off. It is 3:00. We try to keep these to an hour, and we just made it. I know that somebody just jumped in the queue, and unfortunately we had to cut it off. If you have a question and it's appropriate to bring it to our mastermind call tomorrow, please feel free to do that. We'd love to hear from you. Not trying to shortchange you, but we do have to try to keep these to a given amount of time, because people keep their time to the hour that we provide. So in the interest of time, we're going to close it off. Chad, any closing remarks?
No, just I'll remind you guys, anyone that came on late, these calls are archived, and they're almost, everyone's unique. It's amazing to me how much how unique they can be after 3 years. But you can find these in our Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind, or you can find them in our subscriber portal under Education and Training, Conference Calls, Access Call Archive. So listen, if you're especially if you're just getting started, or if you have any apprehension or call reluctance, go through 2 or 3 of these calls and hear how we interact and handle objections and start conversations, and I guarantee it will polish your presence on the phone. So thanks so much, everybody, for being here and for the unique scenarios, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, at same number, for the weekly Probate Mastermind call. Thanks so much, and have a great day.
Thank you guys so much. We're going to cut it off. Have a good one. And again, if you got in the queue late, definitely call us tomorrow, and we'll deal with you then. Bye now.